Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is going to be an open session, Q&A. Please go ahead and put your question, inshallah. I'll give you a few seconds as I'm setting up the live stream for other pages. And in the meantime, please feel free to go ahead and put your question. You can give it and type it on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're seeing that, inshallah, and I'll get to it. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه وسيد رسله سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. All the hamd, all the praises for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we send the best of peace and blessings to the soul of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is inshallah going to be an open session, a Q&A. Please feel free to put your questions in the comments and I will get to them inshallah. So again, this is a Q&A. You can go ahead and put your question inshallah. And I will look at all the questions inshallah and get to them bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. I have a couple of questions from before. Bismillah. All right. So I got a couple of questions in the past week or so until I get some comments or questions from your side, inshallah. Feel free to ask your questions. I'll answer if I can. I got a question regarding choosing the gender in the case of making the external, whatever the medical term for it is, if the couples are not capable of having a baby on the natural way, then they will have this kind of outside tube fertilizing kind of thing, whatever the name of this process is. The question is, if we have to do this process, can we choose at certain stage? It is possible to choose the gender, whether they want a boy or girl, a male or female. And the question came to me, can we choose? And this is actually a very problematic issue. It's a new issue. It's a new thing that wasn't there when the Quran was revealed, when the scholars were talking and looking at the ahkam, or I mean the incidents and circumstances. So obviously this is something modern. Issues like this, that we have to look into the texts that we have, the Quran that we have, the shara or the ahkam as we have them, and see how can we or what can we derive from those ahkam. First of all, it's okay for the person to pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him a baby. It's okay to pray to give him a boy or girl. It's okay to choose, generally speaking, choose to pray for a boy or girl. All of that is natural, normal, no problem. But the minute that we will also, it's okay to use some natural and normal ways of that could be a factor in deciding about the gender of the baby. I am not an expert in that. Some people advise to eat certain stuff, spices or fruits or vegetable, whatever it is at certain times. They might help one way or the other, or even the process of the intimacy itself happening at one specific time. It might help also. All of these natural ways should be okay. The question is about first of all, what's not okay. What's not okay is we are not supposed to opt out or choose, if we are normally capable as a couple of having a baby, we should not choose to have a baby not in the normal way, having this fertilization, taking this semen from the man and the egg from the woman, and making the fertilization externally outside for no reason, this is not acceptable. It is going against the nature for no reason. The issue is what if this fertilization, if that process is not happening naturally? Can we have that happening externally under the supervision of physicians and what have you? That's okay. That was ijtihad also for a lot of majami' fiqhiyya, a lot of scholars and assemblies of scholars. They said it's okay. But now we are taking it one more step. Can we choose the gender? And I guess it's not going to stop there. If the technology, if the medicine and the new technologies allow us to probably choose the color of the skin, the color of the hair, having that, making him or her tall or short, or choosing the color, that is going to be an endless, route to go. Some might look at it as it's okay to choose the gender of the baby as this process is happening externally. But I personally believe, and many scholars actually believe, that we should not do that. We should allow for it to happen normally and not select and choose, simply because if it is okay to choose the gender, the door is going to be open and it's not going to stop there. It is going to be way beyond that. In the future, some couples might choose or might opt out to choose the color of the skin, this and that will mount to change of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or taghyir khalq Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, wallahu a'lam. So I advise this brother not to do it, because simply there's no need to do that. I don't see any questions coming. Please feel free to put your questions in the comments, and I will get to that inshallah. I got some kind, for me, I'm sorry, it's a kind of a funny question, but it's a valid question, where I think a sister was asking about the only food that she can find for her cat was, or her cat eats only canned food, and she could not find halal food in this case. Is it okay to feed the cat that kind of like chicken or whatever it is that's not halal? And as that put a smile on my face, actually, no offense. When I read this question, it put a smile on my face. And the answer for that, first of all, the person was asking that, Jazakallah khair, this is a sign of that the person want to make sure that everything they do is halal, and what is the hukm, and what does Allah say about that. That's beautiful, that's good. But as far as halal and haram, that applies to us. That applies to us. It does not apply to the cats or the dogs or other animals. So it is halal 100% to get canned food for your cat that is not halal, because simply the taklif or the commandments and orders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do what's halal, what's haram, or not do what's haram, is for us, not for the animals. The cat can eat. Actually, the nature, the normal way is to leave them eat on their own. They will go hunt. Actually, I was with my cat the other day in the backyard, and she brought me a rat. She doesn't eat it, but I don't know, she's just practicing her natural way of doing it anyways. So it is, to answer this question is of whether we can feed the cats this kind of cans that might have some meat that's not halal. Yes, you can. Again, feel free to put your questions, inshallah, in the comments, and I will get to that bidnillahi tabaraka wa ta'ala. The next question was a very interesting question. What if somebody missed Salatul Dhuhr? This person did not pray Dhuhr prayer, and then it's Asr. The next time for the next prayer came, it's Asr, and the time of Asr is almost up. It is almost sunset. The next prayer, which is Maghrib, will be on in a couple of minutes. The time that you have remaining is barely enough to make Salatul Asr in time. But it's not going to be enough to make Dhuhr and Asr. The question is, which Salah to make in this case? Shall I start by follow the order of the missed prayers and pray Salatul Dhuhr and then Salatul Asr. But the problem in this case is Asr will be done outside of its time as well. Or I just pray Asr and I can pray Dhuhr. Both ways are very valid, and we have scholars who are arguing both ways. Imam Abu Hanifa and others who paid so much attention to the order. Even when you are making up for the prayers, you have to do them in the same order. They will obviously give that the priority over even the time itself if it goes past the time. So those scholars that will look at texts that pay attention to the order and the action of the Prophet ﷺ, always doing the salah in order, they will say that you have to pray dhuhr first. You miss dhuhr and asr. You pray dhuhr and then you pray asr after that. But the other scholars who would not look at the order in this case, but they will give the priority to the timing. The time is almost up, and this time is mainly for asr. They will say, like Imam Shafi'i and others, they will say that in this case, if you have just a few minutes left, barely enough to make Salatul Asr, even though you miss Dhuhr before, what you can do is you can pray Asr, at least catch one prayer in time, and then you can make up for Dhuhr prayer. Whichever way you use should be okay. Inshallah, I believe it's better to catch this Salah in time, Salatul Asr, and then you make up for Dhuhr that was missed anyway. Again, feel free to put your questions. If you have any thing that you want to ask about, feel free to do so in the comments right now. I'll get to that inshallah. The next question is about the dog. I received the question and somebody shared a fatwa from the Grand Mufti in Egypt saying that the dogs are 100% okay to have and there's no problem and what have you. This is a very problematic issue as well, and especially for those dog lovers and everything. The issue of the dog has multiple layers. It's not just one dimension. One aspect is whether the dog is najis or not najis, whether it's pure or not pure, and what level of najasa, what level of impurity it may have for those who believe it's impure. And then whether it's pure or not pure, what is the hukm of having it? We have many hadith talking about different things. Majority of the scholars of the al-madhahib al-fiqhiyya, the schools of thought, they will believe the dog is najis, najasa mughallada. It is impure, and the type of impurity of the dog and the swine are, or the khinzir, yani the pig, they are type of major najasa that if it touches you, you have to wash your hand, you have to wash your clothes, and if the dog licks in your plate in a specific, you have to wash it 7 times, one of them with the dust, as explained in the hadith. One madhab though, madhab al-Imam Malik radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, one of the schools of thought, that's Maliki school of thought, they believe that actually the dog is pure, and they have their own methodological way of understanding and interpreting the hadith, and they do not believe that we are forbidden or we are directed to wash because of najasa, because of the impurity. It is just because of one reason or one cause that we do not know simply, and they have a strong opinion actually when it comes to the impurity in a specific yani. They said that we can hunt. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said if we teach those dogs to hunt and we send them and we say Bismillah, فَكُلُوا مِمَّا أَمْسَكْنَا عَلَيْكُمْ, we can eat of whatever they catch for us with the conditions, with the prerequisites and what have you that is to be followed. We don't have to wash this. There's no order to wash this. And if it's najis and it's catching for us, so we're not ordered to wash, then there is a problem understanding this. But in any case, majority of the scholars, based on many ahadith, that we have to wash if the dog is to lick and all of that, they concluded that al-kalbu najis, or it has impurity, and we are not supposed to have it not have it close by. But if it touches you, especially with those, or specifically with those wet parts, if it smells you, sniffs you, or with any wet part. The najasa is mainly in its saliva, in its liquid, any liquid that comes from it, not from the outer skin or the layer or something. طيب. That's one level. Whether it's pure or impure, that is one topic. Having it or owning a dog, having a pet as a dog, that is also problematic, because we have one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, whosoever got a dog, unless it's a dog for guarding the house, guarding the farm or what have you, or kalba sayd, or it's for hunting, every day that passes by him, two amounts of reward will be decreased from his account. Basically, he's losing on hasanat. Why is that? We do not know. It's just a authentic hadith from the Prophet ﷺ directing us to not have the dog for no reason other than those valid reasons. Now, if you love the dog and you want to have it, then you want to make sure that you're following one of these causes. Get it mainly because you want some kind of guard dog to and it works. I've seen many cases of somebody who runs and they go into the track that's going into the forest or something. It's very good idea to have a dog with you in this case for protection or what have you. But have the main one of at least one of the approved reasons to own a dog in the first place, and then you might easily follow these precautions, especially for those who have house. You can keep it in the backyard or front yard, not allowing it inside, because there is a hadith talking about having a dog inside, just as a pet, inside the house, and that Jibril did not come because of this specific dog being in the house, and other hadith that, even though some scholars they have their own understanding, but I don't think you want to take the chances, because in one side, many scholars, majority of the scholars, they will say, based on the hadith, you will be losing in their word. Angels will not come to the house, even if there is just a slight chance of this happening. I don't think you want to take the chance on that, but you still can keep all of these or take all of these into considerations and still have a dog, but you put them, have a dog house in the backyard or front yard, and have this main reason of having it as a guard, as a dog to guard and protect or defend you or something. And that does not apply to all of these service dogs. If they are needed, that's a different level. All of that will be okay to use. Wallahu a'lam. طيب. Do we have any questions? Let me check the other pages. Can you pray Fajr before its time? We have this question. Pray Fajr before its time if you travel for work. There is no way you can pray Fajr before its time. Mulay Lemerini, that is not possible. The only exception for prayers to be done not at their normal times during travel is going to be Dhuhr and Asr. Pay attention to this. Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha. Dhuhr and Asr, Maghrib and Isha. Dhuhr and Asr can be done together at the time of either one of them. At the time of Dhuhr, so in this case you will be praying Asr in advance with the Dhuhr. Or the other way around, you delay Dhuhr to pray with Asr at the time of Asr. That's okay. And both of these times is actually time for both of them. Maghrib and Isha, you can do the same thing. Isha with Maghrib, or Maghrib with Isha in the time of Isha. Fajr it has to be done. It cannot be prayed 1 second or any even shorter than this before the time. And that is not, there's not even one scholar who said that or believe in that. So you wait until time of Fajr, and you have from Fajr all the way to sunrise if you want to do it in time. That is the time to pray Salatul Fajr. If you do not catch it in this time and you have your valid reasons, you still can make it up later on, qada, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not hold you accountable, or there's no sin on you as long as you try your best or you were not capable of doing it in time. But to answer your question, there's no prayer, no way you can pray Fajr before time. Wallahu a'lam. Again, feel free to put your question, inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala. I also got a question. What if someone, this is a little bit, a big one, if someone finds some kind of inclination towards towards his own gender, his own he feels some sexual or some kind of tendency towards their own kind of, a man towards a man, a woman towards a woman. What should we do in this case? And again, you will find a lot of arguments from some people regarding why did Allah punish the people of Lut? The people of Lut were punished. I heard that. That was kind of not scholarly at all. From some people who said no, they were punished for something else. Jazakallah khair wa iyyak, Brother Mulay. If you have any other question, feel free to put it, inshallah. Some people might argue that Qawm Lut, or the people of Lut, they were punished because of some other thing. But it's clear in the Quran why they are punished. It's not mentioned once or twice. It's mentioned several times in the Quran, and you can go ahead and read the Quran itself, and you will find why exactly they were punished. أَتَأْتُونَ الْفَاحِشَةَ مَا سَبَقَكُم بِهَا مِنْ أَحَدٍ مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. Do you do this kind of indecency? Allah is saying about the people of Lut, which is homosexuality, that no one else ever before has committed. He said, أَتَأْتُونَ الذُّكْرَانَ مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. Do you have this relationship with the males? So many scholars, many ayat are talking about this same thing. So obviously it's clear in the Quran. There's no way you can believe whatever you want to believe, but that is, the text is clear. It's not my judgment, is not my text. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Quran. Discussing this, what if somebody have this tendency? And again, we have to talk about these things out there. It's there, it's real, it's reality. And we see people around us, and we see what's happening. First of all, we have to differentiate between different things. This being, what is the hukm of that in Islam? What does Quran say about it? And then applying this in reality. What should we do and how should we deal with people? But I'm just discussing now, if somebody feels that. If somebody feels that, it's exactly, first, it's sinful in Islam, very clear. One of the major sins in Islam. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, major sins are any sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised or threatens huge punishment for it, or fire, or he sends a punishment in this dunya for it, or there is a prescribed punishment, one of the five prescribed punishments. So this is one of them. Actually, more than one level of these would apply to homosexuality. So it's sinful. It's sinful. According to the Quran, it is sinful. But now, what if somebody has this tendency? If somebody has this tendency, it is just like somebody having a tendency to have a bad relationship and an illegal, haram relationship with a woman. Or somebody has a tendency to take money that's not his, or somebody has a tendency to like wine or drinking wine or anything that's illegal. You have to resist it. You have to follow the ways to avoid this thing. The argument of this is freedom, this is my freedom. Well, it's my freedom to drink and drive. It's my freedom to in this case, you might say, yeah, he's going to cause harm to others, but it's my freedom. There's going to be so many other sins. In this way, there's not going to be any sin in this case, or most of the sins can be removed, because simply it's against the freedom. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who said, that's what you can do, that's what you cannot do. Taking the money of others, or taking advantage of others, or doing anything haram, that shouldn't be sinful in this case. But it is sinful, no question about that, drinking wine or doing these other things. That is the same thing. We have to resist it. We have to, do our best to avoid the circumstances, the people, the setups that makes it easy for us. Watching certain things that instigates and triggers us thinking like that, let's avoid it. You cannot just be around haram things or bad things, or an environment that calls you or invites you to do something, either this or anything else, invites you to do it or attracts you or lures you, and you keep going to the same setups and same circumstances and same and expecting to change. It's not going to happen. You have to do something about it. There might be some medications or some help that could be needed, and in some cases maybe that person from inside is if the organs are there, is a female, and just if the physicians, I'm not talking about just inclinations, I'm talking in this case about confirmed, the organs inside are female, everything, it's so clear to the physicians that this is a female, then they can switch that person to a female, or do the transgender in this case. if there is those, not just the choice, I choose to or I feel like. Choose to or feel like is not enough ground to do what you like, because a lot of people will choose to get your car, choose to have what you have, choose anything that's not right to do or not approved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you should resist and you should do your best to avoid that. And if there is some solution, some medical solutions, you have to seek those. And I was told, I always say that I was told by a friend or a brother who was a physician, that this used to be classified, homosexuality used to be classified as some kind of disorder until late 70s, according to him. And later on, it now is politicized, and it becomes a way of whether you're with us or against us, whether you belong to this party or that party. It shouldn't be like that. Now to the important, pay attention to that. For those who might agree or disagree, pay attention to this. How do we deal with somebody like this? Again, it's the same thing like we deal with any sinful person. All of us are sinners in the first place. No one is pure or free from sin. Everybody has their own struggles. Everybody has their own. We differentiate between the sin and the sinners, the action and the doer of this action. The doer of this action, as long as they are keeping this to themselves, if they start propagating it, we believe we cannot propagate or stand for something that's against our faith, that we believe is sinful. But we stand for this, the right of that person to live, the right of that person to even believe what they believe. I'm not going to support something against my faith, but I believe that everybody is free. If somebody is even doing some sin, as long as they are hiding and not spreading it and not propagating it or anything, what can I do for him? It's between him and his God. I advise, if I can advise, I say clearly what I believe is right, what I believe is wrong, what my faith is about, what my deen and religion is about, and it shouldn't hurt anybody, because I'm not hurting anybody. If somebody's doing that, if he comes to pray with us, he's welcome. I mean, we do not ask everybody. We're not policing in here. So some people think it's against. It is sinful in Islam, but it does not make the person outside of Islam. That's another thing that many people mix the cards together. Oh, you do that, you're outside of Islam. Who said that? It is just like somebody who is drinking wine, alcohol, committing a major sin, but that does not take that person outside of Islam, as long as they do not believe it's halal. If the person gets to the level to say, no, I don't believe in this, what's in the Quran, this is actually legal, that is a problem. That is a big problem. Wallahu a'lam. Allah knows best. Another question: after Jum'ah prayer, you mentioned that some help is needed for the masjid. What was that exactly? Jazakallah khair, Brother Imran. We were looking to repaint the masjid, touch paint, and do some project here, painting the masjid. If you think you can help with that, or you can refer somebody who can help with that, please see the office manager, inshallah. That's what I was talking about. Naseem Ayad, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Again, this is an open session, Q&A. If you have any question that I can answer, please feel free to put it, and I will get to it, inshallah. If not, we will conclude, inshallah, tabarak wa ta'ala. All right. So by this, inshallah, we come to the conclusion and end of this session. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. Jazakumullahu khairan. May Allah accept from all of us. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.